England and the United States are often accused of being the main perpetrators of slavery. And yes, both nations participated in the transatlantic slave trade and benefited economically from it. But there is another truth that people rarely talk about, which is that England and the United States were also the two nations that ultimately ended the transatlantic slave trade. Today, many Americans are taught to feel ashamed of their country's past involvement in slavery. And yes, some of that shame is understandable. But British commentator Konstantin Kisin reminds us that slavery was a global institution practiced across all civilizations throughout history, and the West was not alone, it was simply one of many participants. What was truly unusual for the time is that the West was the region of the world that chose to abolish the international slave trade, often at a great cost for itself, and it gets almost zero recognition from the history books. Let's take a listen to Konstantin Kisin explaining this point.
The reason there is no slavery in the world today, I mean, there's a lot of slavery in the world today, but in the parts of the world where there's no slavery, is because the British Empire ended it. That's why there is no slavery. That is, well, look, the fact that you are uneducated about history doesn't mean it's funny. So let me educate you now. I know that the woke narrative and the anti-Western narrative on slavery, well, you're not practicing free speech very well, are you? You're not practicing free speech very well, are you?
We
the
will
moment
keep,
I say
we
something
will
you
keep,
don't
sorry,
like,
we have to
you're
keep
not
the
practicing free
responses
speech very well, are you, sir?
Thank you.
I thought you were all about free speech. How about you let me finish my point?
Let's finish the point, and then I'm going to...
Now.
And then I will bring it to our on-stage
and
audience.
the anti-Western narrative on slavery is there was no slavery, and then the British or the Americans came along and they started slavery. Slaves were the first good that were ever traded between human beings. Ever. They were the first good ever traded. Native Americans had slaves, Ottomans had slaves, Africans had slaves. Everybody had slaves. The reason there is no slavery in the West is the British Empire, having practiced slavery for a long time, like everybody else, ended it. Not only that, the British Empire then spent a tremendous amount of blood and treasure to force the Middle Eastern slave traders, with the trans-Saharan slave trade being much worse than the transatlantic slave trade.
Constantine, that is not what this gentleman said.
In terms of the number of people who were killed,
Constantine,
in
let's
terms
bring
of the
in,
way that they were
let's just
treated,
bring in
in
Steve
terms of
for a
how long it
second.
lasted, it was much worse. And we spent a tremendous amount of blood and treasure to stop it. That's the true history of slavery.
I believe that Konstantin's position is valuable because it challenged the woke ideology that burdens young Westerners with collective guilt. And it also pushes back against a victimhood mindset that encourages some communities to focus on blame rather than empowerment. Of course, ending slavery through law, welfare, and diplomacy doesn't erase the pain of the past. But recognizing that the West was the one who ended slavery does help us engage in a more honest and less divisive conversation about justice today. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. But before you go, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at alainguillot.com/newsletter so that you will never miss an episode. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.